You're listening to the Cute Little Jar podcast, your signal in the void for those who dare.
I think we should do another podcast that we do like late at night.
Yes.
That's just like edgy. Let's do it.
I'm down, but I will point out we can be edgy. We can be edgy on this podcast. It is not PG. I would recommend not listening to this if you have small children that you don't want to hear things. Yeah. On our last one, some of it got cut out. But at one point, she was taking pictures of my feet.
Yeah. Do you have an only feet page?
The socks that she was wearing were so lingerie, like...
They're those kinds that are, like, see-through.
I've got them. Sheer with the bow.
Yeah!
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
And she was like, I'm sorry, but can I take a picture of your feet for my friend? He has a foot fetish. And I was like, sure.
When you have that and, like, a heel on or a Mary Jane on, it's, like, over the top.
Yeah.
It takes you over the edge. Love it. Love sheer things.
Are you trying to tell us something?
Well, I came in to ask an inappropriate question, but you guys are recording, so...
What did I tell you?
Keep going.
What did I tell you? I said she's going to come in here and say something inappropriate at some point.
Hey, you don't know.
Oh, I don't know you?
Okay, so my question is, do you think the Whimsy customer base will understand the significance of a pineapple?
Yes.
Some of them, yes.
I do.
Well, I do.
Do you... Oh, well, of course you do. Do you think somebody would buy it?
Oh, yeah.
It opens.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think even people who don't get it will buy it because the southern people here, they love their pineapples.
I do a pineapple bag and a pineapple towel and stuff, and I've even
Do you find they get that it sells?
People love it. Yeah,
All
it's the
right,
whole
cool.
tropical vibe too.
Just checking.
That's gonna sell.
Nice to talk to you guys.
Yeah.
Bye.
If you know, you know.
For anyone who doesn't know, that's Jade, the owner of Whimsy's Voice, and now she's disappearing again. Okay, so now that we've all chatted a minute and kind of warmed up, I would love to introduce my two podcast guests, plus a bonus guest that may or may not be randomly interjecting themselves because they can't help it. So first, I'm so excited to introduce Molly Rose, and Molly makes the most delicious smelling soaps that you cannot eat. Do not eat the soaps. She's miming eating the soap right now. Molly, thank you for being here today. I would love to hear about how you first got into soap making and how did you first get involved with Whimsy?
Thank you so much, Danny, for having me, and Jade from Whimsy Emporium for hosting. This is awesome. This is my first podcast.
Oh no.
Yeah. So my journey goes way back. My interest and fascination with romantic self-care practices, rituals, like taking a bath and lighting a candle and relaxing. It goes back as far as like Hello Kitty and Crabtree and Evelyn and The Body Shop and bath products, packaging. I've always been a decorator too. So from a young girl, I was cleaning my brother's room, my brother, John, if you're listening, and kind of redecorating it. I mean, it was my love language to my brother. My brother was not the most organized. My brother is a genius musical teacher, amazing person. But that was just my way of, you know, expressing love,
Aww.
organizing things for people, you know, acts of service, if you will. And he genuinely appreciated it. But it was also my chance to just like decorate and make things look nice. And I saw how that affected his mood. And then I really gained an appreciation for the way that space and our environment affects how we feel.
Wow, that's powerful.
So wholesome.
Yeah, thank you. Well, and that's a big part of what I do. So a lot of my inspirations come from places that I've lived, the outdoor nature, all of that, bringing it inside, reminding us of those places that we're healing in our lives, and that's kind of me in a nutshell. Romantic farm style zen with a little touch of hyper realism.
Yeah, you do the realism stuff so well. I'm always impressed with the molds that you choose and the little touches of glitter. I love your stuff.
Thank you.
Although we're still mad at you for the chocolate bunnies because
I got really excited about
they
those.
smelled so good, and
you.
I do have one at home.
Yes.
That's my special soap. Like, if I really need...
No guest allowed to use.
No, it's
Yeah.
mine, yeah. If I need my mood to be picked up, I will use that soap. Or
I
just,
love
like,
it.
stand near it and sniff it like a
See,
goblin.
and this is why I do what I do. I absolutely love hearing that from people, that they enjoy it, that it brings them joy to have it in their space, and it's, like, so rewarding.
Yeah.
Yeah.
On the flip side of that, I know this, well, maybe you're more organized than me since you were organizing your brother's room at a young age, but I know that as an artist, my space is sort of constantly in chaos. Like, even when I organize it, it feels like a few days later or as soon as I work on a project, I have destroyed it again, and then I have the whole cycle starts all over again. So what is your space like at home?
Yeah, well, I'm glad you brought this topic up. So although I am very artistic and I love to decorate and design and all those things, I have organized chaos at my home as well.
Okay, so you are human.
I absolutely
Okay.
am. And I definitely am a multitasker when I'm working. So I'm a mother of 2 daughters. And so throughout the day, it's balancing their care, home care, creating all of that, my care. So, but I love it. I love the chaos of all that. It makes for a beautiful life.
Dang, I'm sure that takes a lot of skill to balance that.
Yeah,
I can't imagine.
I don't know if I'd say skill, but yeah, you acquire what strategies,
Okay.
methods.
Feel
And-
free to share any strategies, because, yeah, I mean, I will say I really resonated with what you were saying about trying to make the environment be a space for healing, and I'm trying to think about that. You know, I've been in my house for, gosh, at least like 7 or 8 years at this point, and I'm still just now starting to hang like certain pictures on the walls and like really make it mine.
Yeah.
I have a lot of barely begun murals. Like, I've got a lot of like pencil marks on the wall,
Love
or
it.
like drafted, you know, half finished paintings on the walls. But I've been trying to not be too stressed out about the fact that it's still like in progress and that it's not all done, because I think that's part of the fun, is like,
Absolutely.
you know, as I change, I can change my space, and so it's getting there.
Yeah, and I feel like with our space, that people have their own timelines with all that. Like, you know, sometimes you're not ready. You just aren't in a place where you feel fully unpacked, right? At a space. And so I think those come to us at different times, different circumstances. It's funny that you mentioned your walls and the murals partially finished. I love murals. And when I was a teenager, hope my dad isn't listening. No, he remembers this. I had a girlfriend that came over, and one day she wrote a little love letter to the person she was in love with on my wall, on my pink wall. Or actually at that time it might have been white, and that's why we painted it pink, come to think of it. So,
To cover the love letter?
well, she started, and every visit she would come over, there would be another little writing about Jeremy.
Oh.
And it spread out, and every time it was a different something, and it started taking over the wall.
That makes me want to cry.
Yeah.
That's adorable.
It was very sweet and endearing, but a mess also.
Yeah.
And so I don't think my parents fully understood what I was allowing to happen in there. But yes, we did cover it up one day. But it was like part of the reawakening, right? Like the growth. Sometimes we paint over things.
And the love underneath is still there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the memories will always be there. And yeah, the layers.
I do feel like houses are kind of alive.
Oh yeah, they have a soul.
They do have a soul.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. I do feel that. Yeah. I feel an emotional connection with my homes, and I think certain homes more than others, certain places more than others resonate with me. I think we all have that, right? Like the homes of our days that have been so special to us for different reasons.
Yeah.
Yeah. So sometimes we like to pull from those associations and those vibes and like surround ourselves with all that nostalgia and good stuff. This is great. Can we do this like every day?
Oh man.
Okay.
We can definitely do this again.
I'll bring a chocolate bunny.
Yeah, bring
just
a chocolate.
to torture you.
Wait, no, I thought you meant like real chocolate, like as an apology.
Okay, both. Yes.
Okay.
I will.
If you bring me
You
real
have to pick
chocolate,
out which one's which.
oh,
Is it
That-
soap or is it
is
cake?
it soap or? Okay, that would be a funny, cruel game. That I think I would take that gamble. You're just making me hungry.
Yeah, I've done like waffles, I've done macaroon cookies, I've done cupcake soaps, I've done gummy bears, you know, all kinds of edible looking things. And I try to make them smell like what they are, all part of the tomfoolery.
So, do you do custom orders?
Oh, yeah.
If
Absolutely.
someone's like, I have this crazy idea for my bachelorette party.
Yes. I just got an order for like that last night over
you
DM.
serious?
Yeah, it's for a bridal shower.
Okay.
And I can't really give it away since they could be listening, but it relates to one of my items. The theme does so perfectly, and I'm like, I got you.
That's amazing.
So they want like 40.
So
Got it.
if you need a custom order for soap that's in a very niche, specific
Yes,
form,
Yeah.
they can contact you via DM.
absolutely. Please do write me DM with any inquiries or orders or like partnering opportunities.
Awesome.
Love that.
Yeah, you're in several shops around Knoxville, right?
Yeah, I'm sprinkled in there. I'm just starting my little wholesale journey, really. And Jade and Danny have been a huge part of that because Jade believed in me and knew
It's her MO, right?
Yeah.
She's like, I believe in you, and
Yeah.
then everything takes off from there.
for sure.
Yeah.
She was wonderful, and she knew I didn't have a lot of experience, and she does when it comes to all the accounting and numbers and like how to make this thing work business and yet still make it a win-win for both people. And that's essentially all I needed was a little somebody to be like, here, let me show you how.
Let's win together.
Yeah.
I love that about Whimsy and about Jade and about anybody that I've really come into contact with through Whimsy, actually, because I think it's so true. All of the artists here support each other, you know, we buy each other's stuff, and there's this sense of like, there is room for all of us at the table, and
Yes.
we can all appreciate different things about each other's work. And
Just met my
That's
new
what we
bestie
need.
in the shop, the other soap maker, which was amazing.
that
For
was
the
your first time meeting Charlotte?
Yes,
I love her.
We're already like gonna like hook up. We both love the cello, so we're now gonna.
I didn't know that about her.
Oh yeah, we're apparently gonna take cello lessons together.
What?
Yeah,
Seriously,
I'm
love
all
the
about
cello
it.
too.
We're so there. That's great.
The cello is just a
Yeah.
sexy
It
instrument.
really is.
It really
Yeah.
is. We both love Zoe Keating, who's a.
I love
I
her.
know. She's an amazing artist. I met her in Austin. I got to see her twice. In
my
Charlotte,
God.
saw her once. And I mean, come on. This is like going somewhere. So music's in my veins. My brother is a professional musician, and my mother was a classically trained violinist. And
Dang.
I lost my mom way too early, but the essence of that passion for music, we grew up going to concerts all the time, John and I, with my parents. And yeah, it's been all around me. Band rehearsal at my house, and yeah, it's the best.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Okay, so you and Charlotte are a classic example because you guys both make soap, but they're very different. You guys are very different from each other in terms of, I don't know, just the style and
Yeah.
the branding and everything. And people love both of your stuff. I
Yeah.
mean, we see it every day when people come in the shop. The first thing they say usually is, oh my god, it smells so good in here.
Yeah.
And, you know, people are kind of just sniffing around like little bunnies trying to find
Yeah.
the soap, and then they stay over there for quite a while.
Well, that was the best part about meeting her today, was just like I was gushing over her stuff, and then she was gushing back, and I can't
Aw.
tell you how good that feels.
Yeah.
Like one of my sheroes and somebody that I that I admire for her quality products and creativity. So I was like, wow, like, no, you're awesome. No, you're awesome. I mean, it was just good time.
That's adorable.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you guys finally met.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Really good. And I would say, yes, that's the same with all of the vendors here. Several I don't know personally, but the ones that I do are extremely fabulous. Tiffany, Susan, little shout out to my girls, because they are just so supportive. I've done markets with them.
Okay.
So that's where that connection comes.
Is that where you met Jade at a market?
Yes,
At
Jade,
first, yeah.
yep, East Tennessee Makers Market, and she had purchased a couple items from me, and I mean, what can I say? I fell in love with Jade, like, instantly, like most people do.
Yeah.
And her aura was just so special, and I was just like, who is this person? And she was so appreciative of what I did too.
Yeah.
And I think it was that initial meeting where it was like this, like you just said, this like, hey, you make cool stuff and you're an amazing artist. Hey, you do too. Like that mutual admiration society. And I think that's what Jade manifests here.
Absolutely.
Snaps for Jade, everybody. Snaps for Jade.
Snaps.
Molly, I really wish I was recording this on video, because you're serving like...
Yeah. Oh, don't get me started. I'll start doing grapevines. Like,
What does that
go.
mean?
A grapevine.
What's a grapevine?
Okay, you ready? I'll do one.
Okay.
Like, don't even.
You're like...
even in my heels.
Oh, you're talking about.
It's a grapevine. I worked at athletic clubs for years. Repeater.
I remember doing that. Yeah.
It's like stepper, step class.
Um,
All my group fitness.
the one
instructors.
Zumba class I went to, I
What
accidentally
Zumba?
went to like a senior Zumba class because it
Awesome.
was the only one.
Yeah.
Those women kicked my ass.
Love it.
Like, I could not breathe, and they were not even breaking a sweat. I was so impressed. It's hard.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
I've done a lot of different formats, and I think it's all about finding whatever works for you, right? Mm-hmm. So if you're moving and you're having fun, that's what it's all about.
That's true.
That's wellness, and it looks different to different people. That's another passion of mine, by the way, is wellness.
Wellness.
Yeah, fitness and wellness.
Yeah.
That's one of my jams.
What do you like to do for that?
These days, a lot of cycling, indoor mostly, just because it's safer and you don't have to consider the weather as much with the unpredictable Knoxville weather.
Yeah.
And then I do a lot of strength training. Been doing the Cindy Crawford workout.
You
for
are
years.
pretty ripped, actually.
Well, this is nothing.
Are you kidding
I
me?
used to be
You look like
kinda-
you could lift me up with one arm.
You want to try? Let's go. Let's go. No, I'm really
right now.
I'm really not that strong anymore. I used to be pretty buff though. At one point, when I was doing a lot of Les Mills body pump. One day maybe I'll get back into that. But that's the balance I find, is that like working smarter, not harder, right? So like lower weights, higher reps, consistency is key.
A couple years ago, I got really sick because my house had mold in it and we didn't know. And I had been breathing in mold for years without knowing it, and I am severely allergic to mold. So my body had been in a state of basically a sustained allergic reaction, just like getting worse and worse. I had liver injury, like everything was bad.
Serious.
But I couldn't move very much. Like I was in a lot of pain. I couldn't exercise. I could basically walk to the mailbox some days, and I had to be happy with that. I'm doing so much better now, and it's been like kind of a long recovery, but
I'm so glad.
I recently took my first hike since recovering or whatever, and it felt so good to be able to do that again.
Yes.
And just hearing you talk about like the strength training and all that. Yeah, that's kind of, now that I've started to recover a lot of the conditioning that I lost. I'm interested in getting stronger. I have to be kind of careful because it's easier for me to injure myself than some people because of some like genetic stuff I have.
Okay.
But that doesn't mean it's impossible to get strong. I just have to be aware of it and try to cultivate like that mind-body connection.
Yes.
Because it doesn't come as easy to me. Like some people are very aware of their body all the time, but when you deal with chronic pain or things like that, you kind of learn to dissociate from your body to get through it.
Absolutely.
And so then then have to tap back in, it just takes like conscious effort.
Oh yeah.
but I managed to not injure myself on my hike at all.
Yeah.
I was able to like, and there were a lot of like roots on the path.
Yeah. You can really trip on those
very
easily.
uneven ground.
Yes.
And I'm like klutzy on like level ground, right? So
Yeah.
I was proud of myself.
Well, moving from Colorado, we had black ice everywhere, and that's a kind of a phobia, since I did have a couple slips on those. And so here, where it's so wet all the time on the ground, I had to kind of learn that, like, oh, that's just wet. I actually can trust that. Because, you had to be so much more cautious there. What's that?
Something I'm trying to fix. Isn't it pretty?
Mm-hmm. Dogwood.
There's
It is.
a set of 2 of them, and they hang on the wall.
It's very
Jade is
pretty.
obsessed with dogwood because they don't have them in Maine.
Yeah, we didn't have dogwoods up north.
Yeah, I'm obsessed with, like,
Everywhere.
magnolias for that reason, too, because we didn't have those
Are
in
you really?
places.
They don't have them in Colorado either?
Magnolias? No. No. And they don't have red cardinals either. And so
What?
I love the red cardinals. So when I moved here, they're like all over it.
Since we're talking about cardinals, I have to interject. My friend Josh is a wildlife photographer, and he recently took a picture of a cardinal in the snowstorm.
Oh,
And you can like see the cardinal through the snowflakes. It's just a really epic image. But he is doing signed prints of that photography, and I will put a link to his Etsy shop in the show notes.
awesome.
Okay, plug over. Okay, cool. All right, so our other podcast guest is Caroline Hood from Sweet Nothing Studio, and she makes all sorts of wonderful, amazing things. If you have been to Whimsy in person, you probably already have one of her adorable little felt frogs in your possession. They come in lots of different colors, and they have like whimsical visible stitching and these cute little eyes, and people just love them. They sell out like immediately once she brings us more. She brought us more today, actually, so we're surrounded by tiny frogs as we record this. Yeah, and they're in like a hand woven basket as well. And she also paints these amazing little quarters with like landscapes of these faraway, very scenic, idyllic places. And I have been meaning to ask you this pretty much since I first saw those paintings. How do you paint something so tiny, Caroline? Do you use like one of those magnifying glasses and then paint with it, or do you have a really steady hand? Like, how do you do it?
I don't. That's like the number one question I get is how do I paint so small? Because I started on pennies, actually. I started on pennies. I started coin art in college. That was my senior thesis. As a struggling college student, a penny is about the cheapest canvas you can find. So I would find them on the street, or like people would give me coins and pennies. And my senior thesis, it was called $2.60. So I had painted 260 individual tiny miniature landscapes on these pennies.
Whoa.
That's amazing.
Thank you. And they were
That's a
grouped
degree on a
in
budget.
10, so there were 26 individual pieces. And then I actually had 2 shows for that. I had one at the college campus, and then I had an exhibition at the District Gallery, and they sold out, I think all of them but 2 sold the first night.
For anyone listening who doesn't know about the District Gallery, can you tell me a little bit about that place?
Sure, absolutely. My parents own the District Gallery in Bearden. We've been open since 2011. I literally grew up there. Me and my brother, we grew up there. We slept there while they worked night and day to open it, and I worked there as well. I've worked there pretty much since we've opened, just where I can, and then I'm in person there 2 to 3 days a week, and I manage our website and all of our graphic design, our advertising, our show cards, stuff like that. And so we do custom framing as well. We're the District Gallery and Framery, so we do a lot of custom framing, and we have all kinds of craft, jewelry, ceramics, and of course local art, but also some just art all throughout the country that we find as well. And we're all the time having new exhibitions and artist-led shows. So yeah, that's
Cool.
usually where you'll find me, is over there at the gallery.
That's awesome. I went to the Impressionism exhibit that you guys had, I think, last year. It was one of the coolest shows I've been to, and there were some really impressive pieces from Appalachian artists there.
Yeah.
And I think it's really cool that you grew up surrounded by art. Would you say that that has affected you or inspired you?
Absolutely. I remember being artistic and drawing, and as soon as I could hold a crayon, probably. But my dad was always very artistic, and he's been a picture framer for probably 35 years. And so I've always been surrounded by art, and I think that's such a great opportunity that I've always been super grateful for. And so yeah, I feel like I didn't really choose art. It just almost found me.
Yeah.
And I've always done it, and it's what I've always been my passion and my escape. Yeah.
I'm a little jealous just because something unique about your experience that is different from a lot of artists' experience is that you grew up seeing art as a viable business. And that is something that a lot of maybe families of artists struggle with. Like, for example, when I told my parents that I was going to go to school for graphic design and art, they cried.
Yeah.
They were really worried. They were like, oh my God, you're going to be a starving artist. You know, they had certain worries and ideas in their head, maybe from their experiences or things that they had just kind of absorbed from society, and assumptions. But I think it would have been cool to see, like you did, that no, like, people buy art, people love art, there is a place for it, and it's just a whole different thing that you probably have to learn how to do. But yeah.
For sure, yeah. You know, I always felt like I wanted to do art, but I also really watched my parents struggle. I watched my dad lose his job and then take a massive risk during the Depression, the economic, downslide, and so, or the recession, I guess. And so I watched them struggle and really fight to keep our doors open for several years, and to now see it as a pretty successful, local business in Knoxville. I think a lot of people know us, and we're constantly busy. We're constantly running behind on our framing because we just have so much framing, so much traffic. But yeah, I grew up going to artist markets with my mom. We would travel. We would go to Vegas and New York and Atlanta and go to these big markets, and I would always help her pick out art. And yeah, I've always felt really grateful, and yeah, such a cool, I think, niche thing to also grow up in, like you said.
Yeah, just a different experience. It's really neat. And then on the flip side of it, because I'm trying to put myself mentally in your shoes of like, how would that have affected me? I think it would be inspiring, but then part of me also wonders, would I compare myself to the other artists? So do you ever struggle with like comparing your work to all the art that you see? Like, how do you handle pricing your stuff? How do you view your own work, I guess, in the context of all of that?
Yeah, absolutely. There's always, I think, going to be some comparison, but I think it's more inspiration. I have so many artists in the gallery I know personally. I see them regularly, and it's such an inspiration to see their new art, and I'm always inventorying their art and putting it online, and I think that's such a great inspiration. It's helped me learn how to price my work, how to interact with commissions and stuff like that. And occasionally we feature my art, and we do have the Big Tiny show every year. That's our main exhibition that we've kind of been known for the last 4 years, and we do that every year in November. And so that is our only open call show for any artist countrywide. We have applications, and you can submit usually up to 4 works.
Hoping to apply this year.
You definitely
I've been
should.
getting into some tiny sculpture stuff just as an experiment. As a mixed media artist, I joke that I can't pick a medium, and that's why I'm a mixed media artist.
Love it.
I really can't. I get too bored. I don't know. Maybe it's the neurospicy demons in me, but they're just like, no, we want to do this and this. But yeah, I think that show is so cool, and I'm so glad that you guys do that. So hopefully this year I'll have some stuff to actually submit.
Please do. Yeah. The only requirements are it has to be a piece that we can hang on the wall and install, and it needs to be smaller than 12 by 12.
Okay.
Any medium, any price, any size. You can make it as small as you want, just as long as it's not bigger than like 12 by 12. But it's a super fun show. We usually have more than probably around 300 to 400 individual pieces.
Wow.
Yeah.
That makes me happy to think of, because I just love little tiny things. It makes me happy to think of tiny little art
Yes.
Yeah.
and that
I
much
love it.
being in the building. That's neat.
Yeah.
I know.
I wanted to ask you, Caroline, about, you said you learned a little bit about how to price your work and stuff from working in the gallery and being surrounded by art that you're constantly putting on the website and stuff. Do you have any advice for artists about how to price their work? Because I think we can all relate to that struggle.
Please.
Give us your secrets. Give us your thoughts.
I'll be honest, there are no secrets because I still really struggle with it.
Okay.
I do still work for people that I know, and I feel like they're friends or family, and it's hard to price things for family.
Yeah, we want to just like knock a little bit
you know.
off, or yeah.
Yeah, so it kind of depends for me on size, but because I still do a lot of coin commissions, I'll usually price by coin and by time that it takes, because it kind of depends on the commission.
Coin thing is very intriguing. I am.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Do people just send you like a description of the kind of landscape they want? Are you doing pictures of places people have been? Like, what kind of commissions do you get for that?
Yeah, it definitely depends. Usually the commissions I'm getting now are pretty detailed, pretty niche and descriptive. So a lot of times they'll send me photos. I'm working on one right now that is going to be landmarks throughout Oak Ridge.
Whoa, that's
They
cool.
grew up in Oak Ridge. I recently did, for the last Big Tiny show, I had 8 Knoxville coins. And so it was the Sun Spear and
That's so rad.
JFG Coffee and
Oh my gosh.
the railroad station.
Yeah.
Those sold pretty quickly, but I've done some they can be really personable. I did one commission that a couple had brought me. They had lived in 10 different homes throughout their life, and so they had brought me photos of every single home they'd lived in, and
Oh, man.
each different quarter was one of their
That
10
is so
homes.
cool.
So that was really...
What a special gift that would make for,
It was so personable and sweet. I think it was for their anniversary, and I'll usually frame them. A lot of times I frame them in a circle, and they're kind of mounted on dowel rods, and then we get to choose framing and all that.
Oh my gosh, I gotta see your little coins.
Yeah, I think Jade said a couple of them sold.
We might have
weeks
one
ago.
left in the
I
shop.
know. I need to.
Yeah.
A lot of my coins you can find on my Instagram and stuff
Mm-hmm.
like that. I'm usually posting about.
And your Instagram is at sweet_nothing_studio, but nothing is spelled an alternative way. It's spelled NUTHING.
Yes. But I take a lot of commissions, just DMs as well through there. I've done a lot of frog commissions, also through just Instagram DMs, just with I usually make them little costumes or...
Yeah, I have your wizard frog.
Yes, I think that was like...
What is his name? Zelnorm or something?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Zelnorm.
He lives here at Whimsy with me. He just stays here with me, but he's mine.
So cute.
Yeah.
And it gives me great satisfaction when people are like, is that for sale? And I'm like, no. It's mine. He's mine.
I need to work on my next series.
Yeah.
So I've done I think I did the Halloween frogs with those different little Halloween costumes, and I've done the Star Wars frogs.
I was really impressed when I learned that you made the little pumpkin hand baskets for the
Yeah.
Halloween series out of polymer clay.
Uh-huh.
I was just so amazed by you.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
I'm sure you have art skills that we don't know about.
I'm always doing something. Crochet, I really enjoy. The frogs are super easy to make, and I've probably made at least hundreds, probably even thousands of the frogs at this point.
Wow.
I've made so many of them, and
I bet.
Yeah.
Just everyone being able to choose their own little frog.
Yeah.
I mean, they're just so joyful. And like I said, when I first came into Whimsy, my daughters each got one.
Aw.
It was one of our first purchases here.
Oh, that makes me happy because I have a lot of people tell me that they keep them in their car, or sometimes I call them worry frogs, and I've been holding one this entire podcast. But
Yeah, you have been fidgeting with it, but they make a good little comforting fidget toy.
like a little worry frog, or they're just a nice little size to hold. My mom just went to Ireland for 2 weeks, and she took
jealous.
one with her to hold on that because she was quite nervous for the plane ride, and so she.
Your
took
frog
one.
got to go to
He
Ireland.
went to Ireland, yeah.
I'm picturing it in front of like ancient monuments.
Yeah, they're like my therapy to make, and I struggle with a lot of chronic illnesses, and that's not something that I typically like share or talk about, but I'm fully comfortable with it. And I started making these like 3.5 years ago. I got really sick, and I've been sick since I was 12 years old, and I grew up going to hospitals and appointments all the time. That was just my life, and but my health really deteriorated like 3.5 years ago, and something that really helped me is making the frogs.
I love that.
Yeah.
It's so inspiring.
So
too.
I just felt like I needed, when you're bedridden or you're really not feeling well, it just helped me to just produce something, like even something tangible.
Do
to
what
say,
you
like,
can.
Yeah.
I've done nothing today, but at least I made this tiny frog.
That's amazing. I love that.
Yeah, I do agree that art helps us really transform our pain and helps us take back some form of control.
Yes.
When we, I don't know, it's just a very alchemical, kind of almost mystical power that we have to make art,
Right.
even if we're powerless in other ways.
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely agree.
It's definitely a way to help you gain some type of control, and just, even as silly as it sounds, like you can make little friends, and then my friends get to go live with other people.
See?
No,
so
that's
sweet.
it's true. People love your frogs, and I will tell you about something else a little mystical. So when Whimsy was still like being born behind the scenes, before you guys brought your stuff here, when this building, for anyone listening, we're recording in the studio side of Whimsy, and this building was kind of like inheriting a dragon's hoard of treasure. You couldn't walk. Like, there was so much stuff, antiques and dust, because the previous owner of this building used it as like their ceramic studio. So if you've never tried to clean clay dust, it's really hard. And there's probably still a layer of it, even after how many times we've cleaned it. But yeah, we had to repaint, we had to do a lot of things to get the building ready for people to come in and shop. But during that month and a half where we were doing that, I had a dream about Whimsy being full of frogs.
Really?
They didn't look like the felt ones. They were like little ones, like real ones. Like they were alive. And there were so many that they were like, just picture the building full of live frogs, and there was like this big giant frog in the middle of them who's like the mother frog. And
The mother of all frogs.
the mother of all frogs, and the building was just full of them, and the sense in the dream was like they were magic frogs. And then, like, flash forward, whenever you brought these, I was like, okay, it begins. The prophecy has come true.
I love it.
So yeah, thank you for bringing your magic. They were sending out some psychic waves as you were like making them, I think.
so.
Yeah.
I think they wanted to come and live here.
Yeah.
I love that.
I hope that they can help other people as much as they help me, and just a little guy to have with you.
As loath as you are to call them a cat toy, I will say that I bought 2 for one of my best friends. She lives in Wichita, Kansas, and she has a cat who got sick last year. And I bought one for her and one for her cat. And her cat sleeps with it every night and like takes it up to bed with her. And she doesn't like kill it or destroy it. It's like her friend. Like it's like her baby.
That's the best story I think I've heard. I've heard a lot of stories about the frogs, and I love that one so much.
The cat's name is Sibby.
Sibby.
After Sibby from Downton Abbey. So
That's awesome.
Yep.
I love it.
Love Downton Abbey.
me too. And the same people that made that show made another show.
Yeah.
Have you seen that one yet?
Yes.
I cannot wait for the next season if
The
we ever
Gilded
get it.
Age.
The Gilded Age, exactly. It's good.
Oh yeah, I'm into it.
I love an aunt. Love an aunt.
I love anything like that. You know, give me some Jane Eyre, some like Pride and Prejudice.
I've been
period
rewatching
dramas.
the Jane and Austen movies and TV shows lately.
Yeah,
Yeah,
love them.
just been on a kick.
So good.
It's a good comfort show.
Yeah, that's my daughter was named after Elizabeth Bennet in Pride and Prejudice. Elizabeth Helen, because my mom's favorite
Work. Oh my god.
was Elizabeth Bennet from Pride and Prejudice. She loved Pride and Prejudice, and so when my mom was passing away, sadly, before I got pregnant and had kids, I said, "Is there any name?" And she never mentioned a boy's name. She only mentioned a girl's name, and she said, "I've always loved the name Elizabeth because of Pride and Prejudice." And so Elizabeth Helen, after my late mom, Helen.
That's my middle name.
Oh, Helen?
Elizabeth.
Very good. Elizabeth is Elizabeth Helen, and then I have Emma Margaret. That's beautiful.
Those are very Jane Austenian names.
Yes.
Yeah, very
And
nice.
they're family names as well.
And
like,
Molly Rose is also kind of... Yeah, you guys are fancy.
I'm a Molly Rose Murphy maiden name, and my mother's parents were born in Canada. Yeah, I actually got to go to Ireland myself in May of 2002, and that was quite a lovely trip.
Wow.
I took a little bit of my mom's ashes there and let her travel to Ireland with me because she had always wanted to travel overseas and just never made it.
Yeah.
So
That's
she did in a
sweet.
way, you know?
Yeah, she absolutely did. I don't have to put this part in the podcast, but I can kind of like feel her right now.
Oh,
She's like
thank you.
here with you.
I mean, she was so lovely, and you know, it's so heartbreaking to think that she missed out on like these girls. But I'm not a very religious person, but more spiritual
Me
in
too,
nature,
yeah.
and I really do feel like she picked them for me because she even said that upon when she was very sick before she died. She said, "I'll pick out your babies for you and send them to you." I mean, my mom said that to me. And
Damn.
if you knew my girls and my mom, it's like she did. She did.
Yeah.
She absolutely did. She sent Elizabeth to me to heal me from this. She sent Emma to me to heal me from that. And it's like the combination of both challenge and complete utter love. I mean, they just make me better, you know? They're just amazing.
Aww.
And it's challenging too to be a mom, you know? It's so hard, you know. It's so hard to not have her in our lives, but like I try to tell stories and keep her very much alive, and so much of my mom is in me. I mean, I look just like my mom. And
Was she very into nature too and all of that?
She took in birds, like she rehabilitated little birds. And yeah, she's that kind of woman, you know. My mom was a nun and my father was a priest. And they obviously left that part of their life.
They
you know,
fell in
before they
love.
fell in love.
Oh my god.
And then they were kind of like hippies, you know, like kind of artistic, hippie,
Yeah.
deep philosophical theologians. My mom taught theology, philosophy, and logic at the U of A. And
That's
my
cool.
dad was like a therapist, so he was like a private counselor, marriage and family.
So very in tune with sort of like the emotional and natural world, sounds like.
Yeah, and then the arts as well, you know, with
Yeah.
my mom with the music. Yeah, my mom actually counseled Madonna as a little girl.
Wow.
What did she tell her?
This is what's so ironic. So my mom died of breast cancer, and so did Madonna's mom. And my mom counseled Madonna through the loss of her mom because the family lived in Rochester Hills-ish area, and that's where my parents had the Growth Center, which was their marriage and family therapy place.
Wow.
And they had a little playroom for kids, and John and I used to spend time there in the little play area. And yeah, she remembers the maiden name and the whole story of like how the father had been searching for like the right fit of who could help the kids understand what had happened. And when I hear Madonna talk about the story, I kind of hear the other side of it.
Yeah.
And it's just fascinating. But she worked with her for a while. But both my parents are like social justice warriors, like awesome people. Like
I'm just thinking about the butterfly effect right now of like your mom's heart ended up giving comfort to somebody that then has been important to so many millions of people.
yeah.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, what an inspiration. I mean, both my parents are incredibly inspirational to me. But yeah, mom was just like a genius. John, my brother, kind of has, I think, he leans a little more genius.
Yeah.
In that way, in that same, like, musical, numbers, languages That's my bro. He's got his master's in applied linguistics, and he
Ooh.
writes music.
We would get along. I love linguistics. I almost majored in sociolinguistics, and I kind of like study it for fun, but he sounds like a cool person.
He's so cool.
Yeah.
He's learning to play that instrument right now, that Indian instrument, not the sitar, but the one that's like, oh my gosh, so cool. And he's taking lessons. John mastered the bass, so he's played.
He's just
all the
working
strings.
his way through the giant list of instruments in the world.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
He has played all the strings, so he was classically trained. We both went to piano school when we were young. They sent us to the Don Macy School of Piano in Michigan, and our first keyboard teacher was the keyboard player from the Bob Seger Band. Pretty cool. And John stuck with it. John stayed with music all the way. I deviated into voice and concert choir, ensemble, blah, blah.
And then you said you were in theater too.
Musical theater, and then into actual theater, yeah, for a while. Enough to earn that thespianism.
But it serves you so well, I think, in where you've ended up. Because,
Thank you.
you know,
Thank you.
you're speaking to people, you're meeting people, and just being able to have that confidence, I'm sure serves you well at markets. And
Yeah, I do love connecting. The engagement piece is my like jam. That it fuels me. It like re-energizes me.
is there anything you do outside of art stuff, Caroline, that we might find surprising about you? Are you like really into football or just like something unexpected?
Absolutely not. Well, I did play golf for 8 years
Oh.
competitively, but
What?
I don't.
See, that's
that
the lore I'm talking
I
about.
don't identify with that anymore.
You don't identify
I
as a
love-
professional golfer
No,
anymore?
I played all through school,
Wow.
competitively, and
That's
I did all
impressive.
kinds of sports actually,
I
just
love
in
that.
high school and stuff.
I would never have
No.
pegged you as a like golfer.
Yeah,
That is so cool.
I'm so bad at golf.
Me too.
it's,
Like, so bad.
it is the most frustrating thing I've ever done.
It does. It makes me angry.
It's enraging. That's probably why I don't play anymore.
Okay, this is how I feel about it, and like everyone's gonna probably go, oh, pickleball.
People get so
They're
wild
so
about
obsessed.
it. They
It's
get very
everywhere
obsessed.
now.
It's
Yeah.
everywhere. Like everyone seems to love it, and
I'm gonna be honest, I don't really know what it is. I still don't know what it is.
I've
So
never played. Is it like a small tennis?
it is. It's kind of like if you were to take ping pong.
Is it the
and
one with the
tennis.
funnel?
It has a wooden mallet. No.
Oh.
No. It's a wooden mallet, just like a ping pong, but a little larger. And then the court
Okay.
looks similar to a tennis, but smaller.
Okay.
And you're literally doing the same movements as like the tennis, where
Okay.
the out and the in and all that. But the only time I played it was at a team building event for when I worked for these athletic clubs, and I was with my VP of operations. She went full on, like, you know, like, so it brings out your competitive.
Is it mostly like
side.
hand-eye coordination?
Yes,
More
yes.
like what's that game with the hockey puck and the...
Oh,
Air
like
hockey?
Is it like
hockey.
air hockey, but pickleball? Or is it like you're going to get a big workout from it? Like you
You're
would
gonna
with
get a big
tennis?
workout.
You're
Yeah,
just,
you're
Okay.
like standing, running.
So it's a smaller court, but still a lot of movement.
a lot of moving around,
Okay.
and you got to be quick, because as you can imagine, like, you know how with a tennis, if you're doing a return, right, it's like a lot of that,
Yeah.
kind of like the setup for the return, whereas this is more like a pop, because it's just a little harder ball or
Mm-hmm.
something on a wood paddle. I know, I mean, I'm not speaking from great experience here, but I was amazed at how stressed out I felt, and so many people I know love it, you know?
My grandmother, who's 86 right now, she was a professional competitive bowler,
Oh, I love bowling.
like for most of her life, and would always beat the men. So they
Wow.
never wanted to play with her, but she was on like the women's team and everything.
I have one friend that's on like a league and really enjoys it.
Yeah.
I think it's fun. I mean, I don't do it enough where it's like not fun, you know?
I like bowling. It's just I don't like bowling alleys. They seem to be coated in some sort of filmy slime.
Greasy. Like,
Yeah, a greasy
like the
foam.
ball,
It's
if
on
you can't-
everything.
you
It's
can't
on the
even hold
seats,
the balls, 'cause they're
I thought it was
the
just
chairs,
me
the
that
table.
felt that
No, and it also is in the air. I feel like everything's sticky. Everything's really sticky.
It's like they haven't cleaned since they opened in like
Yes.
1982.
Thank you. I feel validated. I would bowl
Wow.
so much more often if they were clean.
Cleaner. There's
yeah.
that really fancy upscale one downtown.
Oh,
Yeah.
actually, Maple Hall.
Maple Hall.
That actually is fun, and it is less sticky.
Yeah.
It's less sticky.
Yeah.
I went there once for someone's birthday party.
Yeah.
It was fun.
I've never been there. I've just seen it
It's
advertised.
fun and like cool. It's like almost
Yeah.
like a bar
Yeah.
pub
Yeah.
atmosphere.
All this fancy
Yeah.
eats and everything.
And it's nice because your lanes feel more private. Like, instead of being in a giant warehouse, you kind of have your own, like,
Lounge area.
yeah.
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 Cubby.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep. Very VIP.
I'm not a
Yeah.
sports person either, really.
Me neither. I'm not a sports person. I'm athletic. I'm not a sporty person.
Yeah.
I admire it. I admire athletes, and sporty people. I can get into watching a game from that perspective, the athletic.
I just call it sports ball.
Yeah.
I'm like, how was the sports ball? One of my favorite things that I learned about the South. So, one of my other jobs is I work for an estate sale company, and I work with the public a lot. And there's a lot of like old men that are into sports who
Yes.
are in line, and they want to talk about the game. And if they start talking about the game, all you have to say is, "Can you believe it?" And then they're like, "I know," and they get.
Like, you don't even have to say what.
No,
but
you don't
it's
have
like
to
the-
know
can
anything
you-
about
yeah.
it. You just say, "Can you believe it?
Yeah.
Can you believe that?"
Yeah.
They love it.
There you go.
There you go.
I know.
I worked at Blackberry Farm for 4 years.
My dream place.
Flex.
They have the second largest wine collection in the country.
Right.
I would work there, and they all wanted to talk about, UT games, and I was like, yeah, it was a game.
It was a game.
It was a game.
Can you believe that game?
What can I get you to drink? And, but yeah, it was a really fun place to work.
Oh, I'm sure.
I met a lot of celebrities too.
Oh, yeah. Definitely. Did you meet Nicole? And what's his face?
Nicole? Like Nicole Kidman?
Oh, yeah. She's
First
all-
name basis. Is she? What?
Oh, yeah.
I didn't meet her.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
She and her sisters go hang there all the
Yeah,
time.
there's
What's
a
the
lot
other guy
of-
that was on American Idol? He's always there. He plays there. He performs there.
I have 2 celebrity flexes. Liam Hemsworth
Nice.
hit on me once.
Whoa.
Where?
I was in college and he was filming some war movie up in Ypsilanti, Michigan. They were filming in like the historic district. Michigan gets a lot of film grants.
Yeah.
Like I don't know, there's some kind of incentive for people to film there. Looking back on it, I mean, I was just freaked out. Like, I was just, like, he spoke to me and I just did not say anything and kept walking. I was just like, what's happening? Looking back on it, I wish I had eaten from the craft service table because they had like a big spread in
Yeah.
the parking lot. Like, I worked in the part of the building above, like, and they were filming in the building next to me. But it was like a historic district where everything's like pressed together.
Yeah.
And then the only other flex I have is that when I worked at Regal Cinemas Corporate, there was a guy there who is now the host of Love Island.
Oh, my God.
And that was before he worked for Love Island. So he was hosting for Regal and doing stuff. He was a fun guy. But that's all I got.
That's all you got?
all I got.
Who have you met at your Blackberry Farm?
I really enjoyed meeting Chris Pratt. He was incredibly kind.
Was he there with his current Catherine?
He was. They had just gotten married, and he was
Oh.
there with his son, and Arnold was not there, which we were hoping he would be, but he wasn't there. But his wife was.
Yeah.
And yeah, Catherine, I guess she was his new wife at the time. They were incredibly lovely, really, really sweet. I remember what he ordered. And I also met Neil Patrick Harris,
Oh,
and
nice.
his husband came.
Oh, jelly.
Oh
They
my
were
gosh.
so fun
Yeah.
and so sweet.
I bet.
And they were just there on like a couple's trip for them, and
Aw.
like they were super chill and relaxed.
Love that.
Yeah.
That's exactly how I would expect them to be.
They're really,
They
really
seem
chill.
like a lovely couple.
I met Drew Barrymore was
Oh my God.
incredibly sweet.
No, stop right
She
now.
was exactly as you
I
would
would
imagine
scream.
her.
Fangirl.
I really
So
love that she's
sweet.
just ended up
So
with her own
awesome.
show, and just she's just out there just being herself.
So real, so
Yeah,
authentic. She
yeah.
does strike
She
me
was
that
very
way.
authentic. She was very complimentary,
Down to earth.
very grateful. She had her kiddos there.
Aw.
The only celebrity I met who was like, they were all super nice, super appreciative. The only celebrity I met that was probably the rudest person I'd ever taken care of in my 4 years
Oh no.
was Papa John.
Wait,
Like the pizza guy?
like the pizza guy?
The Papa John. He
Oh.
came in.
Why does that make
Just
sense?
thinking that he like owned
He's
the
like,
place?
yeah.
Well, he had all of the allegations come out, which were not allegations because they were true and very hurtful, and he got fired from Papa John's.
I don't even know the dish, the
Yes.
tea.
So this was like right after this had occurred.
Okay.
And like all in his notes, it was like, do not talk about Papa John. Like, all over his notes, like everything you opened, we had all the iPads, and it was like, do not. But he was
Don't
like,
bring up the allegations when
Yeah.
you're serving Papa
He
John.
was so rude.
Oh
He
my
was rude to
god.
everyone.
Oh my gosh. I haven't waited on or met anybody that like famous, but I did wait on the Sports Center, like Lee Corso, Craig James, like ESPN Sports Center guys when they came to Tallahassee, and then I waited on the interior decorator from Beetlejuice.
Okay, but that's kind of amazing.
kind of
That's awesome.
That was pretty amazing. I waited on Shapiro, O.J. Simpson's lawyer. I've
Ooh.
waited on Bobby Bowden several times because FSU. I was at Tallahassee, and I walked by Gloria Estefan.
Ooh.
That was kind of neat. And I've also walked by Marianne from Gilligan's Island in the Four
Love
Seasons
her.
of Atlanta. Trying to think if there's anybody else. I did meet the Flock of Seagulls dude with the hair.
Oh, that's awesome. Do you like Twilight, Danny?
Oh, what a question. At this point, I think it's become like a cult classic.
Yeah.
And I recently came across a video where somebody is like zooming in on the background scene in a Twilight clip, and it's these kids in the courtyard who are pretending to play hacky sack, but there's no hacky sack.
I think I've seen that clip.
It made me happy. I will say I had a Team Edward sticker on my guitar in high school, which is embarrassing, but it's funny. I did go to several midnight releases of both the movies and the books.
I've never seen it.
Oh God, we should watch it.
It's a trip.
It's a trip. What else?
My kids have never seen it. Like,
The
casually
movie's
seen it, but not
terrible.
into it.
I will say there is a sort of like magnetic quality to the book.
Yeah.
The book, like, I don't want to be one of those people, but I'm going to be one of those people. I read it before it became famous. Like, I read it
I
like
did too.
the year before, like about 6 months to a year before, like the hype picked up. And I really enjoyed it. Like, I binged it. It's a very bingeable, like easy to read kind of book. Twilight. There's a website called DeviantArt.
Oh, yeah.
Do you guys remember DeviantArt?
Yes. Kind of edgy.
She's laughing at me. Yes.
Wait,
Anyway,
your age,
there.
Tiffany?
Hey, it's actually still around. Thank you very much.
It is garbage and you know it.
There is an account where I used to write journal entries that were like deep dives arguing about Twilight. Like, I would write like an essay about where I'm like responding to some insulting thing that like a guy in my high school said about Twilight, and I'm like, here's 20 reasons why this guy Brad is wrong. And Twilight,
What's that account? Like people, like when Twin Peaks used to be that way.
I'll send it to you later.
Were you
I'll
like a Twin
remind you
Peaks
later.
person too?
I love Twin Peaks.
So
Is actually one of my
fascinating.
favorite TV shows.
David Lynch.
I love David Lynch so much.
Yeah.
I was really sad when he
know.
died.
Me
Although I kind of admire that he went out like just doing what he loved.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm gonna make weird art and smoke cigarettes and eat cheeseburgers and have ice cream and make cool shit with my friends.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's the dream. Anyway, that was my answer about Twilight. Did you have a
Okay.
reason for asking?
I asked about Twilight because I had also met the artist Iron and Wine.
I love
met him.
them.
He did the whole soundtrack for the
Oh,
first
I
movie.
think I know them. I think I
Yeah.
know that sound.
They're a solid band.
It was, I
pretty
think
good.
it's just him. But
That's impressive.
He was there, and he was like probably one of the most genuine people like I ever served in 4 years, and he was so incredibly kind, and I still remember the whole interaction. But he was so sweet.
It made an impression.
Yeah,
That's
he was really kind.
Honestly, every time I see the the sound for the
The
movie,
soundtrack?
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Oh,
And I'm like,
I'm like-
clueless. I'm like, what?
What is Hoa? What's Hoa mean? Every time.
Every time. Now I'm gonna go have to listen to the Twilight soundtrack. I don't know. The books kind of went off they got worse as they went along.
Oh, no.
I do think the first book is the best book.
I'm not a fan, but
I did weirdly enjoy Stephanie Meyer's other book about the aliens. Did you guys ever read that? It's called The Host.
Huh.
It's like a body snatcher book where like it's the main character is one of the aliens that snatches the body of a person, but she's like sharing the consciousness of the body still. Like the body is still sort of conscious, and they're like, anyway, it was a weird book, but I enjoyed it. I don't know. Anything that gets people reading, I think, is good.
Oh yeah, for sure. I know.
And I do think there's a weird sort of like backlash against teen girls for liking things. Like looking back at, there was so much backlash against all of the teenage girls that were obsessed with Twilight. And I think it was just because people didn't like that girls liked something and that they were passionate about it, and like people found any reason to criticize it. And I mean, I'm not saying it was a literary masterpiece, but like, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like what you like. I think the best thing about Twilight, though, that has come from it is all the memes about Edward. The egg word.
Like how much Edward,
Oh my gosh.
or I like how much Robert Pattinson just hates Twilight.
The way he shits all over it any chance he gets
It's the
it's
best.
hilarious. Yes, but all the memes are pretty great. Twilight memes.
I just remembered 2 people I met too that were famous.
Who else did you meet?
Weird Al Yankovic.
Oh my god!
Very long time ago.
Nice.
We're talking going back to like MTV Spring Break in Daytona Beach days.
Hell yeah!
That's
At
awesome.
the club, and then the Coliseum.
Okay.
And then I met that same time Pauly Shore was there. And then I was in the same room as like Jean-Claude Van Damme and like Marky Mark and the Funky Bunch.
But you know what, Molly? They were in the same room as you.
Oh,
And I'm so thankful to you guys for coming on the podcast today.
Thank you so
Because
much.
when you guys are famous for something, I get to say that I interviewed you.
Thank you
Our
so
first
much.
interview.
Yeah,
Danny.
first interview. Yeah.
It's been a blast.
It has been fun.
Everyone listening to this is probably familiar with the metaphor of the cups. This is something that is shown in tarot often quite literally, where someone will be holding cups that have water in them and they're pouring a cup into another cup, or pouring water out into a larger body of water, or vice versa. Sometimes the water will be shown like flowing upward into the cup. And I think that creative energy is tied to that, to our emotional waters and the depth or shallowness that we have available. And if there's something that I've learned that seems worth passing on or talking about to you today, it's that when our cup is low, if your cup is low, the people that inspire you have so much power to keep your cup from running completely dry, even if you're too tired or too ill or too burnt out to create at that moment. At least at that moment you can receive. And I do think that that is a gift. And I want to talk for a minute about how whimsy has been such a huge part of my recovering of my creative health. It is so special to be constantly surrounded by people's imaginations, the fruit of their crazy ideas that they've poured their time into. It's like walking into a room and, every square inch of this place is covered in hope and imagination. And it's a comforting place, especially for creatives. It has been for me, at least, because you're just kind of dosing yourself with like a creative vitamin. There's nourishment to be experienced, and something I also really appreciate about all of the artists that I've been inspired by this year is how just like subtle and constant that inspiration has been, because life is also constant and it can be wearying to just be alive. And I'm just so grateful for being an artist in this community and being allowed to take up space at my own pace and to witness other people doing the same. And that's something that's been really cool, to be able to see people who are making beautiful things kind of flexing with life. And I think it makes it harder when you have more data like that. It makes it harder for your imposter syndrome or your perfectionism to beat you down, because you're not feeling that way about the people that are, maybe they had a surgery and they haven't been making anything in the month of their recovery. And it's so great when they finally bring something in and, you see them on their feet again and you see these tiny little sculptures that they made. It's awesome. And it just stays with me and percolates in there, in the brain soup, as Jade would call it. So I really just have been thinking about that so much in general, because I am starting to create more and have more energy, and not just more, but I've been really blessed with new friends this year that have expanded my concept, like the barriers in my mind of what is even possible for me to be part of. Like right now I'm thinking about doing photo shoots that correspond with the tarot, and how I can do like a cool editorial project like that combines like my imagination and all the weird, wild things in my brain. My brain right now is just alight with visions of editorial photo shoots in the woods, like the kind of stuff that you see in Enchanted Living magazine, which we sell in Whimsy, by the way, if you didn't know that. And if you don't know what that magazine is, you need to fix that. And I will drop the Instagram handle for the magazine in the show notes. But it's basically a super whimsical nature fairy core themed magazine that has just stunning, exquisite, very conceptual photography that fits like the theme of that issue. So for example, the mushroom issue that just came out is so ethereal. And yeah, so I'm not like a professional model or professional photographer myself by any means. I have decent skills in those areas because of my background, but I think it's easier to imagine what's possible when you're collaborating with people who are willing to collaborate with you and explore like their own edge zones of just new and interesting things that they want to try with you. I am so excited about that in my life right now. And it's such a different place than I was. The past few years have been just really hard to feel like that creative spark for. I've still been trying to, dedicate time to my art and try different mediums. And I've been still experiencing like massive strides or milestones, whatever you want to call them, because working with Whimsy has allowed me to share my art with the world, which is something that I wasn't really doing. It's indescribable to see someone literally physically holding your artwork that came from your brain and seeing how excited they are over it, and then buying it and like getting to talk about it to them, of why I painted my own butt on this sort of Van Gogh Starry Night cosmic style background, getting to discuss body positivity and body image and like where I'm coming from with my experiences around that. And that's just one example of one piece that I've been able to share and sell. And I've had those experiences all year, and that has been so healing, like in its own way, because even that has expanded my idea of what is possible. And it's very strange and surprising and exciting and humbling and weird to have your art well received by total strangers. It's something that I didn't know that I could ever have that feeling, mostly because I didn't feel safe enough to really try. And many months before I ended up collaborating with Whimsy and Jade, I can remember this one year when I was at a brewery with my friend, and I got the guts to march over to the other side of the street and ask the business owner if I could bring my art and show them and like hang it in the shop to be for sale in their restaurant. And he said yes, and he was excited. And then I never went back. But I will say that was sort of like a pre-milestone moment where I was dipping my toe in the water, trying to build that bravery. And Whimsy has been such a safe space to be able to display my art and sell it and talk to people about it. And I just wanted to thank you, Whimsy, and thank you, Jade, for providing this space. And thank you to anyone who has bought my art or admired it this year. I feel very held and recognized by my fellow human being and the universe in a way that is just so cool and so different from my internal experience when I was younger, because I was very much living in my own head and my own imagination for a lot of my life. I had to do that. And it's just really life-giving to be able to be sharing myself with you. So thank you. I want to take a minute to tell you about some projects that are about to come out of mine that I am really excited about. I have been working on a collaboration with one of the artists that Whimsy got involved with through our auction for hurricane relief that we held for our spring showcase art show back in March. A little background lore on your podcast host here. There was a time when I was in school for graphic design that I was moonlighting between my classes that I was actually quite bored with, because I already knew how to use Photoshop and do all this stuff because I spent most of my high school years learning the programs and everything. So I needed to challenge myself more. And after I would be done with my homework, or sometimes when I still hadn't done my homework, let's be honest, people, I would stay up late painting on my digital tablet. And I studied character design and gesture drawing and anatomy, and I was practicing so much. And not just digitally, I was in my sketchbook all the time. If I was out somewhere, I had my sketchbook with me, and I would doodle the people that I saw in the coffee shop and things like that. And I had it in my brain that I was going to be like a Disney concept artist or something. And I just really dove into the deep side of that industry via YouTube and forums and all this stuff. But anyway, spoiler alert, I'm not a concept artist for Disney right now. I have no desire to be, based on things I've learned about how they treat their people. But my point in dropping this lore nugget is that I have missed digitally painting, and eventually, as my career unfolded with design, I stopped painting digitally really for fun. I wasn't practicing so much. I just didn't have the bandwidth to do both anymore. And I fell out of practice with it. Not completely, but, you know, if you're practicing something for hours every day and then you go to doing it like once a week, you just get a little rusty, and then sometimes once a week becomes once a month, and etc., etc. Flash forward to now. I've been getting back into it the past couple of years, but I still really wasn't allowing myself to play as much, and it turns out having something specific to work on can really help. And I'm super excited about this sticker sheet that I've been painting and designing that's based on the photography of Josh Wolf, who I'm collaborating with for the sheet. He was so great to work with for our auction for Hurricane Relief for Mergoat magazine. And if you haven't seen his photography before, check it out. I will leave his handle in the show notes. But he photographs a lot of wildlife and forests and landscapes, and the sticker sheet is done in a more like abstract painterly watercolor style, and I think that they complement each other really well. So pre-order it in the link below if you love what you see, and you're going to, because he tends to find animals that are either super cute or like one of my favorites that I put in the sticker sheet, because when you see this picture of this fat angry bird, you're gonna be like, oh, I love him, right? And that is something that's like really simple and kind of silly. It's not this like complicated Michelangelo painting, right? And yet it has given me so much joy and helped me rekindle my spark. And I actually really don't have the words to properly express about that, but I wanted to mention it and give you guys a heads up that that is coming. And it might actually be available by the time you're listening to this. Fingers crossed.